Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about Torchlight Energy, and specifically today I'm giving an update relating where I think the price point action is going to move rather than giving you more of in-depth due diligence. I've done that in previous videos in this series, so you'll find my previous video in the description below. But today we're talking about potential short squeeze, dividends, dividend valuations, technical analysis, and all the fun stuff you want to see. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So, Torchlight Energy. First off, we did receive news on the June 14th. I already covered this one, and it basically says that the stockholder of record is going to be on June 24th, 2021 to get Series A preferred stock shares. And in that sense, those shares will be getting the dividend proceeds of Torchlight assets, the oil and gas assets, since they're merging or reverse merging with Meta Materials. Now it says here June 24th, 2021, and I want to kind of give you an overview into when is the last date you can go in order to be considered for this one here. Now, Investopedia is a really nice place to get a lot of information. And first off, you need to understand something called the ex-dividend rate. And it usually is 2 days before the date of record, which means, or I'll actually just read this ex-dividend date, it's the date on which the dividend eligibility expired. It's called the ex-dividend date, or simply the ex-date. For instance, if a stock has an ex-date of Tuesday, June 5th, then the shareholder who buys the stock on or after that day will not qualify to get the dividends, as they're buying it in or after the dividend expiry date. Shareholders who own the stock one business day prior to the X date, this on Monday, June 4th or earlier, will receive the dividend. Now, the X dividend date is usually 2 days before nonetheless. So for instance, you probably be looking into an X dividend date of June 22nd, and the date of record, as mentioned before from Torchlight themselves, it is actually June 24th. So keep that in mind, because I will talk later on about where I think the price action movement will occur between at least the next coming week until post June 24th. So another thing I do want to talk about, which is a lot of people have been really going for about short squeeze. This paragraph here, it says if an investor is short on a stock on the record date, they're not entitled to the dividend. In fact, the investor is instead responsible for paying the dividend owed to the lender of the shorted stock that they borrowed. Investors short a stock if they expect it to decline in value. So what does this mean? It means that basically this paragraph is saying that if people are short on TRCH, which in fact, if you go to the short interest, you're able to see right off the bat that there's a lot of shorts on this one. Yesterday and the day before, you're sitting above 30% shorts. The short volume yesterday was 62 million shares. The day before was 81 million shares. Now we're talking about a flow of around 125 million. So you do the math. There's a lot of shorts on the stock. And the idea is that coming in June 24th, this one is going to really see some interesting things, because if shorts don't cover, then they have to pay that dividend. You might ask, well, Ed, how much is that dividend? Well, for my lowest estimate, it was around, I think, 50 cents to $1. And then I did make a video on this one a bit ago. It's actually called 4 Dividend Valuations. It's on my channel for TRCH. It's the 3rd update. And I went through these different valuations. And the first method gave you $8. The second method gave you $17.92. Method 3 gave $39.33. And method 4 gave $10, with an average of $18.85. So if the stock is currently trading at $5.29, and guess what, both sides don't actually know the exact amount. Would short sellers really risk this one so they end up paying up to $40 per share for something that is $5, or at least, let's say the lowest one, $8? No, it's because they're paying interest. There's also a lot of pressure for them that they're kind of worried about paying these dividends, and it's basically a non-brainer that they do have to cover. So that 24th is more of a very important date for shorts to cover before then. Now, the other thing I do want to talk about is institutional buyers. Now, the institutional buyers is not the most active, but today we got Genius Wealth Management with an average share price of $195 declaring that they have 10,000 shares. So that's bullish, But before moving on forward, if you'd like to see more contents like this, make sure to click that like button down below, subscribe. In the bottom right corner, there's a subscribe button. Click on that and the bell notification button. If you'd like to join our Discord to talk more about this, click show more and join my Discord right on here. Now, definitely there's a lot of interesting things going on about this one, but since my last video, this is kind of the biggest part that I do want to talk about, and let's move on now towards technical analysis. Now, from a technical analysis point of view, first off, we're looking into the moving averages. The 10 SMA is above the 30 MA, which is a bullish thing in terms of when you're looking into price histories. 50 SMA is above the 200 SMA, and there's also this trading action zone where most positive reversals occur between 385 and 310. So even if it does dip a little, it has a high chance of bouncing back. Now on the ADX, you're sitting at 42.64, indicating a very strong bullish run. Now you should start worrying about 45 to 50, but currently it's not above there. Now yes, we dipped around more than 10% today, but that's not particularly a bad situation. I'll explain why at the end. Now, in terms of other things like, let's say, momentum, that's still bullish. MACD is still very bullish. William percent R actually escaped the overbought section, closing towards a neutral. And when we look into stochastic fast and stochastic slow, they haven't dipped yet, which is a bit more of a stabilization view into this one. Now, the current volumes, if you were to look still on the unbalanced volume, there's still a lot more bullish than bearish flow. Now, the other thing here is volumes in general have been dropping day by day. Now, yesterday it did drop, but it was still kind of bullish on the next day, where it did see a jump from 511 all the way to 676. Now, today, this is one of the first red candles. It's actually more of a doji star than anything. This one usually is a troublesome candle, but I'll explain what the price action movement will be closer to the 20s, June 20th, 22nd, 24th, etc. Now, the Bollinger moving average bands, now the only thing you need to consider onto this one that both the moving average bands and the Bollinger bands are all going upwards, which is a good thing. Now, in terms of the Fibonacci retracements before doing the discussion, because high frequency traders usually use this one here, the current support level is at 536. Below there, 426, 348, 271. The only resistance on this Fibonacci retracements is the 676. Now, the current support lines, you're seeing a very strong support at the 534. Below there, you're looking into 484 to 480. Below there, you're looking down to 421, going down to 372, going down to 336, and then down to 295, going to 266, going to 242, going down to 222, and then going down to 206, 191, and then down to 177, and then down to 159, and then further down to 143. Now, in terms of the current resistance, because this is kind of new high records, even at the price it is today, if you were to kind of look at it from the today's price compared to the last 5 years, it's still one of these records that you're looking at. Now, for resistance, right on here, you're seeing current resistance is actually right where it's at, 556. Above there, you're looking into 573. Above there, 598, and then 615, and then up to 633. Now, what is the good news about that 10% is if a stock drops more than 10 or around 10% or more in a day, something called a short sale restriction occurs, which means shorts can't short on to the next day. Now, the other thing here, what I'm actually seeing happening in the next few days is today is June 17th, tomorrow Friday, June 18th, depending on when you're watching this video. Tuesday is June 22nd. So you're going to start seeing that there's a lot of influx of people buying from June 18th, June 21st, and maybe June 22nd for people who are a little bit confused on what's going on. And then later on, closer to June 24th, maybe June 23rd, you can still see that influx because some people didn't watch this video and pay attention to what the X date is, and just took a look into June 24th and said, okay, I'm going to buy 23rd or 24th and sell right after. And here's the next part, is there's going to be two forces in action closer towards June 24th or on June 24th. The first type of people before June 24th is the short sellers that are covering so they don't have to pay the dividend. So that will result in a price increase. The next can happen is on probably June 25th. And on that June 25th, two people that are going to do kind of the negative thing to the stock. First guys are the ones that just bought it for the dividend and not for metamaterials, and they want to sell out right away because they got their shares. Well, I mean, they're going to get their shares, but they're on record, so they will sell. That will drop the price. The second amount of people are the people who are actually still short selling, interested to short sell, and they covered before the June 24th to not pay the dividend, and now still wants to short the stock because they hate the stock or don't like it. And these guys will drop the price again. Now, there's a third party that will continue on in believing in the stock and can help push it. These are the believers in metamaterials to start with, and the TRCH thing is just icing on the cake. So those are the ones that really have the power to have more influence and voice in the TRCH. And for those guys, what do you think is going to happen down below? Mention down below. Are you going to sell as well and then buy later if the stock dips, etc.? Or are you believed into this one to the core? Let me know all the way down in the comments below. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, leave notifications on, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you made it this far into the video, I do recommend that you go ahead and join our Discord server. There's a lot of amazing folks in here. We do a lot of discussions here into the trading floor throughout the day. A lot of people are in there, and we do ask questions. You can ask me any question you would like on there. We do post research and DDs, and we hold weekly chat sessions. And we also do have a lounge in there. So make sure to actually join that and join the fun there. Have a wonderful day and a good one.